And welcome to Justice Serve TV. Michael Bryant here, Linda Kenny Bodden on assignment up in Harvard still. I thought she already had her degree. Anyway, she's up there. She'll be back next week. So, boy, Alan Jackson, he's in withdrawal, I hear. Yeah, it's amazing. Also, the case out of Texas, the school shooting case, Uvalde, it's going forward, sort of, kind of. And what else did I have for you here? Oh, yeah, that's right. Misdemeanor is on the way.
Justice, where are you? Michael and Linda are here.
I love you, Linda.
The world is justice. Will we ever find justice?
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing
Will
"Oh
we
Happy
know
Day."
justice when we see it? To be and Damila lead the way. Hoping justice will win the day. Listener clues, finding justice where we can. Join us now, we're on the run. Justice is waiting, we'll see it done.
All righty, good to have you along here. Welcome back to those who are here at about 2 this afternoon. We had a members only, which was very interesting. Went into the Aidan Carney / Mark Betterow reply, the Sir reply to the big hearing coming up on the 23rd. That will be out there for public and major consumption by the weekend. But for the members today, doing it live, great fun. Got into that. The paperwork in that case is entertaining. Maybe it shouldn't be, but it is. Hey, I'm not going to do a normal rip and read because I want to bring Ms. Demeanor on right out of the gate here. There she is. How are you?
I'm good. Heidi ho to you and everyone else. I think I might have some chickadees in here as well.
That would be great. Hey, I know that you have a thing, a wine. What do you call it? Wine. And,
I have Wine and Crime Wednesday. That's what today is.
Is this kind of wine, or is it just
Well,
wine?
It depends on what's happened throughout the day, whether we're drinking the wine or we're doing the whining.
Okay. Today might qualify for both. What a weird day today.
Sometimes that's what happens.
Yeah. We have, I mentioned off the top, Alan Jackson's going through withdrawal. And so people are, they're probably mad because I used a little clever play on words. No, he's not having a drug issue. Most people probably know that. And I want to get into, before we're going to talk about Uvalde.
Yes.
Uvalde. I keep getting it wrong. I used to say Uvalde. Now I know it's Uvalde.
Yes.
We want to get into that because that thing's crazy procedurally. It's only day 2. Technically, we haven't even finished day 1 of the trial against Adrian Gonzalez, the cop who was there at Robb Elementary when the horror broke out that day 3 years ago. But they're kind of plodding along, mistrial motion. Spoiler alert, it was denied. But
denied.
We knew that, right? We knew this early on.
I thought there was a slim chance, but not really.
The court has to, and we'll see how the court goes through the machinations to kind of get where it gets. And the important part is when you know it's not going to be a mistrial, you go, okay, what's the remedy? Because clearly,
I'm going to need
screwed up.
I'm going to need some legal breakdown on what the defense is requesting and why.
I'm just disappearing for a second here. Don't mind.
I am just a mere juror. I do not. I am not an esteemed attorney like the other half of this panel, and definitely not the person I'm filling in for. Good grief.
Good grief. No. So we'll go into all of that. What the options are, what they might come up with. The court always likes to see if the parties can craft something before imposing its will.
I saw them trying to do that, and I didn't
go well. It really didn't go well. So before we get to that, let's back up to Alan Jackson, and I want to get to, let's just we'll set it up, then I'll show the video of just kind of a weird, typical LA though, weird, after the fact presser out. It reminded me so much of the days when I was working out there full time, and it's just the whole environment there is so bizarre. I had a flashback to when I was chasing Alec Baldwin down the street, which was a whole different story. Anyway, so they go to court today. It's supposed to be Nick Reiner's arraignment. Again, Nick Reiner, the son of Rob Reiner, Michelle Reiner, and is accused in their deaths. We think there's going to be an insanity defense. We've always thought that. He's off his meds. I'm just kind of truncating the basic facts. So he goes there for the arraignment, and it sounds like nobody had a clue until late last night that Alan Jackson was going to be withdrawing. So then speculation starts flying. It's not unheard of in any situation, especially when you have a high profile case like this. But people start speculating, oh, there's a conflict of some sort, and which is probably true. We may not know what it is right now. It's a money thing.
I think it probably is a money thing.
It's a money thing. I have a conflict with my client and my bank account. That's my conflict. So
there may be some other information that comes out, but immediately, since a couple things made me kind of draw that conclusion. One is the fact the family is not supporting him financially for any defense. Secondly,
early on that was the speculation that they were paying for Alan Jackson.
Right. And secondly, when it was immediately announced he will have a public defender, I was like, yeah. And I did see that Alan said that within the confines or the constraints of California law, he is not guilty of murder.
Yes. And we're going to hear him say that. We're going to hear him say that.
Oh, good.
In only a way that Alan Jackson can. In only a way that Alan Jackson can with his, print that. It was just do it. And shades of do it. Okay, let me bring this up here. Hold on here. Let's get it big and bold for everybody's eyeballs. There we go. Okay, so again, they're queued up outside the courthouse there, and this is classic gaggle. You can see some of the same support people behind him.
As you know, my name is Alan Jackson. This morning, I had to withdraw as Nick Reiner's counsel. Circumstances beyond our control, but more importantly, circumstances beyond Nick's control have dictated that, sadly, it's made it impossible for us to continue our representation of Nick. I'm legally and I'm ethically prohibited from explaining all the reasons why. I know that's a question on everybody's mind. We expect the public defender to step in. They've already been appointed and very capably protect Nick Reiner's interests as he moves forward through the system. But be clear, be very, very clear about this. My team and I remain deeply, deeply committed to Nick Reiner and to his best interests. In fact, we know, we're not just convinced, we know that the legal process will reveal the true facts of the circumstances surrounding this case, Nick's case. You know, a lot's been printed of late over the last 3 weeks. A lot has been printed about Nick, printed about his family, printed about the circumstances. Speculation is in print. On December 15th, in the early morning hours, I was in New York at the time, and I got a call. Me and my team, we dropped everything. And for the last 3 weeks, we have devoted literally every waking hour to protecting Nick and his interests. We've investigated this matter top to bottom, back to front. What we've learned, and you can take this to the bank, is that pursuant to the laws of this state, pursuant to the law in California, Nick Reiner is not guilty of murder. Print that. Print that.
Do it.
We wish him the very, very best moving forward. And that's all I have today.
Okay. So you see that super tall guy in the background there. He's been.
Yeah, he was at Karen Reed. Yeah. And I thought, the reason he wasn't in season 2 is because he made partner. I thought I had heard that.
Yeah, that could very well be. And stayed back at the home front there in LA. So now as they scramble around yelling out questions, I hate when people do that. Oh, wait a minute. I do that all the time. To see the back of their heads as they wander off, ignoring you. We're going to hear from the DA briefly, and I should say the public defender, I guess the chief public defender. His identification was a little weird, very kind of loose, but
I don't think I saw this.
Yeah, and Michelle, oh gosh, Michelle, where's my notes? I'm all discombobulated.
Better get your cards.
I know this isn't even on my card. See, there they are. That's the female that's been. Her name is Green. I think it's Michelle Green, has been put in the role. She's on the left there, and I think that's her boss. But when they brought the volume up, it was like it upcut him about halfway through his giving his name, or I just missed it, one or the other. Anyway, so they're going to make very brief statements here. A little bit surprising when they've had so little contact with their client, but you'll hear what they have to say nonetheless. She's been in the office there. I was unclear in the office for 19 years or practicing in LA County for 19 years, but she's not a newbie.
Well, I do also wonder if maybe they're trying to figure out some sort of plea, and I don't know that that's Alan's. He would wheelhouse.
Trying to kind of read between the lines with what he had to say is that there is a conflict. Hold on a second.
Los Angeles County Public Defender. I'm here with Kimberly.
Yeah, see how they upcut his name?
Yeah.
So he's with the office there. But my thought was, yes, there's a conflict. They can come in many forms.
Yes.
And money can be a conflict. You can also have a philosophical difference with your client. And it doesn't mean I think he's guilty and there's no way I can represent him, because defense attorneys, stock and trade is representing folks who quite often are guilty. And so there would be a lot of unemployed defense attorneys if that was the criteria for them stepping away. Everybody deserves a zealous representation. And I don't see Alan Jackson walking away if he, for whatever reason, don't take it to the bank, but if for whatever reason he thought, that maybe he couldn't zealously represent. I just don't see that from him. So
yeah, I don't either.
There could have been, there's some reference to, remember there was a big party Saturday night before this happened, and altercations, and maybe there is a confluence of personalities and people that know one another. Because Alan is he's a boom bomb vivant.
He's a mover and shaker.
That's right. So you get him at your parties, whether he was at that party or just new people that might become witnesses. That's a possibility. And you always want to avoid the appearance of impropriety. And if he felt like that was in somehow going to bleed over onto his client, then stepping away would be the right thing to do.
Correct.
Someday we may learn, but it's really, to be honest, none of our business. And if he's doing what he thinks is the right thing, of course we are.
Michael, that's what makes us good on here. We're nosy.
Wait a minute, you're right.
We want to know everything. Spill all the tea.
I know, and it's kind of an occupational hazard, but I'm realistic enough to know sometimes that you're told just get bent. You aren't going to learn.
Exactly, but I can always ask.
Yes. Okay, so this is Mr. No Name and the associate deputy PD that is going to be taking care of Mr.
Green,
Reiner.
the deputy public defender assigned to the Reiner case. I want to say that on behalf of the entire public defender's office, we are incredibly sorry and understand the pain and suffering that the Reiner family is going through at this time, as well as the entire Los Angeles community. The public defender's office and the entire staff, our hearts at this time go out to the entire family. We hope that the community will also understand that this is a challenging time for the entire legal process. We ask for your patience, your understanding as we navigate this process through the legal system, and that we will be available as we can be to address your questions when appropriate. Thank you. We learned, I believe last night or yesterday, that we were being substituted in. I'm going to let Ms. Green answer that.
Briefly this morning. I spoke to Mr. Reiner briefly this morning. He was understanding that there was going to be a change in counsel. We haven't had any in-depth conversation.
What we're missing is, of course, the questions, because they're out there going, and then luckily some of these folks are good enough that they will sort of repeat, the question within their answer.
They do the pageant answer.
Yeah. What would I do if I had the chance for world peace? I would. And so she's saying she spoke to him for 30 seconds. That's what she said, 30 seconds. So, you know, she had the full grasp of the case in that.
Absolutely. She looks terrified to me.
She does, you know.
Overwhelmed and terrified and like looking at all these people like, this is not what I signed up for.
A little deer in the headlights, a little bit. Yeah.
I'm not saying she isn't competent
No.
and you know can completely fulfill her
role as
her role. Yeah. But she right now looks a little like I wish I would have just stayed in bed this morning.
And now watch this. This is the dynamic of this kind of thing. Where's my little pointer? Can you see it? Oh, there we go. Can you see that? Can you see that, Jen?
I did for a minute and
Okay.
it's gone now.
Oh, how about over here? I can probably see it over there.
Oh, there. Yeah, now I
This
see it.
woman back here.
Oh,
who's
yes.
she's like the flack. She's the communications department.
Gotcha.
So watch her as this thing. No, there's an attempt at a Q&A.
We'll discuss that with Mr. Reiner and see how to proceed. Not at all. It's not uncommon for private counsel to turn over cases to us, so no, nothing about that would complicate this.
That's true.
I have talked to him for only 30 seconds, so I have no idea.
So I've only talked to him for 30 seconds. I have no idea. I'm not sure what the question was because you got a motorcycle running by. You got people that are so off mic. We're lucky that we hear anything.
The dude in the brown plaid is all
Who's
of us
leaning,
right now.
The guy's leaning in. Like, what?
He's like, oh, what are you
What?
saying there?
What? Yeah, they're all giving it that, and this is one of those cases. You know, it's like unfortunately the OJ case where you have this, you know, pop culture true crime confluence. So you got ET there. You've got I saw TMZ there. You got My Old Stomping Ground Extra. You can see their microphone right there. This would be the kind of case I'd be assigned to for Extra, that hard-hitting news show. And so when you have that kind of cross-pollination of these types of stories, you get everybody comes out of the woodwork. A lot of dummies who normally are doing red carpet, you know. But
Right.
this
Tell
now
us what you're
becomes-
wearing.
Yes.
Versace?
Hey, you know, I did use that line on Alan Jackson during the Karen Reed case. So I did. He said that shut him up for a second, like stunned him. He didn't know how to answer it. Okay, let's see if we can pick out any more of this.
I only spoke to Mr. Reiner for about 30 seconds this morning. I have no comment about his mental state. I have not.
She has no comment about his mental state.
We've had no contact with the family. I don't think they were aware that this was going on until this morning.
At this point in time, Ms. Green will look into the case. We'll speak with Mr. Reiner. And if you have any further questions, reach out to our media team.
Media team. So Miss Green, that's the new attorney. It's
We've had no
Michelle.
contact with the
Watch
family. I don't
my
think they
friend
were
here, the
aware.
comms
Yeah,
lady.
she slid right in there.
Watch her.
At
We
this
gotta get the
point in
hell
time,
out of here.
Ms. Green will
Yeah, it's time for us
look
to
into the
break.
case. We'll speak with Mr. Reiner. And if you have any further questions, reach out to our media team.
Let's
Once
wrap it
we
up
have
like
more
a burrito.
information. This just happened today, and my understanding is he was aware of it. Ms. Green spoke with him, as you heard, and as soon as we have more information that we can share, we will share it.
Thank you. No further questions at this time.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get out of here. We don't want to see your faces anymore.
I'm afraid to be annoying. Okay, so that's what happened, and you know, let the speculation continue as to why they've moved. There was no arraignment. It was really just a withdrawal motion by Alan Jackson, and the new date is, I believe, on the February 3rd. Does that sound right?
I have
Early
two-
February, I think. Did you have a
Yeah, I was
date on that?
I didn't put it back in my phone. Karen Reed, one of them is February 3rd, and the other is February 23rd. And I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
which is which.
That's
I
yeah.
feel like February 23rd, or it might have been March, but I feel like
Yeah.
it's February 23rd.
I think you
when
are right. That's
Reiner-
Monday. That's a Monday. Yeah, and it was in all of my notes here that I've turned into some sort of macrame. I don't know what's a pile of.
I think Sheila's
junk
saying
here.
February 23rd. So.
Okay, so there you go. Oh,
I
before I
thought-
forget, because I forgot yesterday and I'm bad. Kay Schmidt, thank you so much for gifting the 5 Justice Serve TV memberships. We appreciate that. More importantly, the 5 people get them will appreciate. If you are subscribed, then it could just be handed out to you like fairy dust. Whee! Here, have a membership. Whee! And by the way, while I'm thinking about it, hit like, subscribe, comment.
Do the YouTubey
share.
things, the tubes
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah, those things. And you know, when LKB is not here, I never get around to doing that.
I have a hard time remembering too, and all of a sudden I'll be like halfway through a stream, and I'm like, "Oh,
I know.
I should probably tell you all this."
I usually think of it after I've signed off. Go, that's right. Anyway, so got that done. Check.
Check mark.
Check mark. Okay, so yeah, we'll see what happens. I think we're still going to see an insanity plea.
I don't see how it could be anything but that. I do feel like there's probably a tremendous amount of evidence.
Yes,
both
and I think
on the property and off.
I think there's also going to be a lot of medical testimony. The change to his meds and what the impact was, and doctors coming out the wazoo about what his condition, which is basically a schizophrenic condition, as I understand it. I'm not a doctor. I'm a Juris Doctor, but I can't write no prescriptions. Doggone it. Okay, so let's see what else we got here, because we're going to move on from that, which was a bit of a shocker today. That was definitely.
I was not expecting that at all. No,
I had just kind of a note that, the arraignment's going to be today, but
sure.
I did not pick up on the withdrawal. Obviously, Alan, a friend of the network here, so we will reach out and see if we can wrangle any more detailed explanation about what's happening. He may say, "Get out of here. You heard what I had to say. And by the way, do it. Take it You can take it to the bank.
Read what I said. They needed to print that."
Yes. Print that.
Exactly.
There's a lot of stuff out there. Print that. Okay, so now another kind of an odd thing going on with the Uvalde case. Uvalde. We didn't even get through one day. And the third witness was the teacher, Stephanie Hall, I believe her name is. She was the first teacher on scene. And we're talking now about Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, which is about 80 miles west of San Antonio. A small community, 80% Hispanic. And there is, by their own admission, a lot of undocumented workers, illegal aliens, pick your phrase. It's a very insular community.
And by the way, the trial is not taking place there, though.
No, it's not. It has been moved 200 miles east
south
on the water now. Southeast.
It is, yeah. Corpus Christi is further south.
It's basically Hurricane Central normally. That's where.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the places
for sure there.
Yeah.
But they had the move for obvious reasons. Although, they got a jury in a day. That kind of.
I was shocked by that.
Yeah. Because I'm
sure
it was
late in the day, so that I feel like they went longer than a normal. They did not do a Judge Bev that day of court.
No, part-time. Didn't do a part-time. They had 400 people in their pool, and they were doing it in chunks, as most do. But to get it in a day, especially when your theory is, hey, we're moving it out of Uvalde County to get to, and I will not get this right, Nessus. I think it's Nessus County, which is Hispanic for walnut.
Oh, my husband would be able to tell us.
Okay, check my pronunciation with him. I think it's Nessus. Anyway, they move it there because it's a bigger center, community, and in theory, you're going to get sanitized people. That what shooting are you talking about? I mean,
right.
How realistic that is, I don't know. This is a Mars.
Well, I think you may have an older pool of individuals, so they wouldn't necessarily be involved in knowing about any school type things.
Yeah, I guess that's possible. I mean, I think
especially
anybody who
this time of year, you've got all the winter Texans.
You got a lot. What are winter Texans? Are those like
people that go to Texas, southern Texas in the winter to get away
because it's so cold in the northern part of Texas?
Yes,
really?
Yes. Oh, my parents used to go to San Benito, Harlingen area there.
Oh, Harlingen, Texas. I'm very familiar with. My wife one of her first TV jobs was in Harlingen.
Yeah. And I mean, it's further south. When you're there, you're further south than Miami, Florida. So it is beautiful.
Yeah, I would think.
The weather is fantastic. Yeah, my dad couldn't do the snow and cold in Michigan anymore. So they would always go down there.
Yeah.
And I had some other family that lived there as well.
And you're in a warm spot. Did you come from a cold spot?
Oh, I came from Michigan. Yeah. That's where I
grew up there?
I was.
What part of Michigan?
Ann Arbor area.
Not the UP.
Not the Upers are a whole different breed.
That's Upper Peninsula. That's Traverse City, Cadillac. I've been up there because my my little show, The Legal Edge, when we were syndicated nationally, we were on up there, and we went there in the summer. Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful in the
Beautiful
summer.
up there.
Mackinac Island. If people have
Yeah.
never been to Mackinac Island, you need to figure out a way to get there. It is absolutely gorgeous. You'll never believe you're standing on the edge of a lake. It's beautiful, but
Yeah.
it's cold. I can't do cold.
Yeah, I'm getting, well, I don't say I'm getting used to it. I'm tolerating it, from California. So having been now 20 years back east, I'll tell you what, when it gets me, we had a colder and snowier December than we've ever had since I've been here. Really a lot of snow for December. Usually it starts now.
Right.
But about the end of February, I'm like, all right, already, let's wrap it up. Let's go golf. Let's get out there.
Yeah.
It drags on. I mean, when I
That's what-
see snow the 30th of March, I get like, really? So
Well, I can tell you, Mr. Demeanor and I got married on tax day, so April 15th. And he's very smart. He knew that he was never going to forget what our anniversary was if we got married on tax day. So
if tax day is on a weekend and they push it to the Monday, do you push your anniversary to the following Monday as well?
no, absolutely not. He's got to cough it up, man.
Okay,
We're
all right.
doing the anniversary thing. So we got married. The week of our wedding was the worst snow and ice storm of the season.
Beautiful.
And as luck would have it, on our wedding day, it was 72 degrees, sunny, big white puffy clouds in the sky. I got very, very lucky on our wedding day. It was beautiful.
It was
But
meant to
those
be.
3 days before, I was like, what are we going to do here?
Hmm. Yep. Well, good. How many years you been married?
It'll be 26 in April.
Okay. We're coming up on 24 in June. So, yeah, that's a lot of years.
It is a lot of years. Yeah. We've put up with each other. I think we're just too lazy to do anything different.
That's the spirit. You went,
No,
I'm good. I'm all
He's
right.
truly, truly my best friend. I can't imagine going through life without him with me to try to conquer all the craziness that we have to in life's trials and tribulations. So
Very nice. And now you've added this kind of thing to it. So
yeah, he wants no part of this.
I bet. I'll bet. Smart man.
He does
Smart
all the cooking, and someone suggested that we should do a members only live stream and have him make a meal. I said, "Oh, that'll never happen." So I asked him afterward. They're like, "Yeah, you just show his hands," and I was like, "So, would you be interested in doing this?" He goes, "Absolutely not."
No, yeah. I mean, that reminds me of a lot of the witnesses in the Uvalde case. To get back to that case, they're truncated.
And it's so weird. Why are they doing?
Well,
What's up with
I
the boob
think
shots, man?
Well, that's true, including the guy. Hey, I'm guessing they're just so sensitive about it, and the last thing they want is attention. Okay, I respect that. I do appreciate actually that we're seeing at least some body, because sometimes
It does
hand
give off some,
movement
exactly
gives you something. And
body
unfortunately
language.
for the pastor who was the first witness on the stand, who had the 911 call that was so dramatic, I mean, even just showing him from here down couldn't disguise his tremors and his crying.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed or not, but whoever was streaming it, and I don't know for sure it was Court TV, I think it was, they showed him for the first couple of minutes of his testimony. And then all of a sudden they went, whoa, and they gave him the heads off look. So.
And why are they doing that in this particular trial?
I think it's just the court is being nice enough to give those who are more private or want to remain that way a little bit of just a little privacy.
It's funny, I watched the Eileen Wuornos documentary this past weekend, and I'm watching it, and her trial, I never realized this. They literally have coverage of it, and they are panning the jury. You literally can see the entire jury. And I was like, boy, have things changed.
Well,
since
here's
the
what I
80s.
think happened then. I'll put on my producer hat. Here's what I think happened. They have the normal coverage, whatever that may be. What year was that? Was that like in the 70s?
No, she was what was it? 91, I
91?
feel like. 91 or 92 is
And
when
then
she was
died like
convicted.
10 years into prison or something, early
No, she was
2000s.
executed.
Oh,
She
that would qualify as death.
but that was 05, 06.
Okay.
Or 03, I can't remember.
So here's what I think is going on? Because I've been involved with productions that have done this. HBO is classic for doing this. Who did this show? Was it Netflix? Was it who?
It was on Netflix. Yes.
But I don't know the production company.
Yeah, I don't.
So what happens is
I didn't pay
you
attention.
have the approval to shoot the jury, but you can't broadcast any of it until after the case is over and the jury's been dismissed. So they may have had normal TV coverage, which didn't show the jury, and then you have a documentary crew that can shoot anything they want with the understanding it will never see the light of day until the jury is dismissed or until the court says so. Because if there's some issue that's dangling out there beyond, like maybe they want to make sure there's no juror misconduct issues, they would still embargo that material. But I'm sure that's what happened because it wasn't that long ago.
It was amazing to me to just see this entire with their stickers on that said their jurors just kind of sitting there, and I was like, wow.
Wow, it's like Law and Order.
That was not what I expected.
Yeah, no, I think when those guys do that type of documentary, they do it right. It makes for a whole different experience to see the jurors as, you know, you're one of them, right?
Yeah. So not in this one, not in Uvalde.
No.
Not gonna happen.
What we have here is, again, for those who may have missed the end of the day, I think her name is Ms. Hall. She's one of the 3rd or 4th grade teachers. The 19 children that were killed were 9 or 10. Most of them were 10 years old, 4th grade. And there was a shared classroom where the shooter ultimately went and did most of the damage. But prior to that, as Adrian Gonzalez, the defendant, the cop, who was called to the scene because of a car crash, because the shooter's truck was driven into a fence, and it was reported as a car crash. We need somebody to go out there. And he's like, okay, I'll go. Then he comes on the scene, and let's just say it's far worse than a car crash. So there's a huge issue as to when Adrian Gonzalez understood what was going on, saw the shooter, when could he have stepped in to do anything? We know that there's been a lot of focus on 73 minutes, 74 minutes, however long it was, more than an hour before the Border Patrol tactical team went in and killed the shooter. Who was doing what when? And these two guys, this guy, Adrian Gonzalez, the first trial, then his boss will be subject of a second trial, Arredondo, I think his name is. Yeah, he had 6 cops. You know, that's how small the town is. He's the chief, and he had 6 cops under him. So not a big force. That'll be a later trial. So the key is, where is this guy when? And what could he have done? What did he know was happening? So when you have the teacher take the stand and tell the jury that she sees basically both Adrian Gonzalez and the shooter before he enters the school, that's a whole different animal than he's on the other side of the school. Gonzalez doesn't know where he is. Maybe he stood his ground too long, but had no actual notice. I mean, those things are critical. What's the problem here? The prosecution apparently was told this information and didn't share it with the defense. That's a Brady violation. That's
when were they told? Because I was trying
to
listen. Late December. I thought it was like she finally said today. I think that it was the 20th of December that they had the interview. She was not there. She checked her notes checked the notes or something like that.
Wait a minute.
I was like, what on earth is happening? And that poor jury, that the jury's like, what are we doing? We're here. We're not here. We're back again.
They stopped her testimony for a totally unrelated reason. They stopped the first time because
for her to review.
She had given a statement to the cops, which was the genesis of this lack of information, because the defense had that statement. They had that. And they're hearing on the stand something different than is in the statement. So they want to refresh her recollection. Now, normally, and I ragged on the defense yesterday for this, they came out smelling like a rose. But generally, you're not going to say, here, Judge, this is going to take her like 10 minutes to review. Let's take a break. No, you're not. The court's not going to let you do that and send the jury out. And says, okay. Normally, you would say, okay, these 3 lines, because you kind of know in the statement what's important. Better not be just a shotgun. And you say, here, take a look at this. So read this to yourself. See if it refreshes your recollection, and then you ask a specific question about that little blurb. No. So that spirals into, how come we didn't know from the prosecution about her identifying the shooter at the same place as the defendant when she did on the stand?
So the real question for me is, why did the prosecution not even know about that until December 20th? That's the real question I have. I understand the, potential. It sounds like the judge was like, look, it wasn't intentional. And, I get all that, but
ask your question again. Ask your question of me again.
How did the prosecution not know until December 20th that she was going to?
You're getting very nitpicky.
So I don't have to get nitpicky with you.
A little bitty, so I can be nitpicky if I want.
No, that's made my Hall of Fame right along with typical man.
Typical man.
So that's how bad she looked. This is Christine Mitchell, who is co-counsel with prosecution team, and she just got caught flat-footed, looking like a doofus. And after that little blip, she says, "I got all kinds of cases. I was in and out of interviews." I'm like, "Oh my God, you're just admitting to being really a half-assed attorney
you don't
on a number of
remember.
cases."
Just say, you do this for a living all the time. Just say, I don't remember.
Yeah, I haven't looked at my notes recently. And now those notes have been given to the judge in camera to figure out, what she may or may not have known. So that's where we're going to go. This was the hearing today. So the judge says, bye-bye, jury. We'll see you on Thursday. Yeah. And then they begin the hearing today, and it doesn't really get finished. But there is some effort to move this case forward and find out whether or not there's going to be a case. I really thought, maybe they won't even make a motion, but I understand to protect the record, you got to make the motion for
appellate reasons.
Of course, yeah, for a mistrial. So let's pick up this. I got a couple of very specific spots here, if I find my notes, where the judge is basically saying, okay, what do you want to do, folks?
And it didn't sound very cohesive.
No, it sounded.
What do you want to do, folks?
Yes.
I'm like, what's going on in this court?
Anybody got any ideas? Anybody? Oh wait, let's see. Where's I've got two different clips up here that look a whole lot alike. That's not the right one. Excuse me. Red alert. Let me get the one that is.
And I feel like at one point the prosecution was like, no. We don't want you to strike the testimony. And then they were like, no, it's okay. You can strike it. I'm like,
and that was just
changed?
Weird. Let's watch how the judge handles this, and then we'll get into this issue of remedies, because that's the key here. Yes.
Go ahead.
He denies the motion for mistrial, which didn't surprise me. But then the next question is always, where do we go from here? What's the possible remedy, right?
And I have to tell you, a perfect picture right here. Do you know, in my mind, every time I look at this judge, he is the neighbor in Home Alone. Every time I look at him, that's all I can think of. The old man.
Well, I'm guessing that's who you're talking about. Yeah, I
don't know what his name is.
French maid. His name, the judge's name, or the neighbor's name?
The neighbor's name. But yes, every time I see him,
I don't know who that is.
That's all I can think of when I see him is I'm expecting, little Macaulay Culkin to be popping up over his shoulder or something.
Too many Christmas movies for you, Ms. Demeanor. Okay, so here's Judge Harrell.
I'm going to review these documents that have been tendered to me in camera, but I will obviously at this point take any motions or arguments as far as remedies or proceedings in this matter. So, defense.
Yes, Your Honor. So, as the court will see from what's been tendered as far as our defensive strategy, this situation did have a significant effect on the strategy from voir dire all the way through, and through future witnesses, should they be called. We're in a position where we know under the law that we have to ask the court for a mistrial to preserve the record. However, if the court was not inclined to grant a mistrial, we do have other remedies we'd like to discuss.
Well, let me just say this. Under Heath, the greatly awaited case from the Court of Criminal Appeals about the court's discretion and power to basically, if there is a Brady violation or a Morton violation, to have the ability to exclude that testimony. And they clarified that the prosecutors, it does not have to be an intentional act. And I'll say for the record that I find, based upon what we heard yesterday, that this was not an intentional act. At best, it was a negligent act, or at worst.
Don't get nitpicky.
So I do have the remedies under Heath available, but you know, if you're making your motion for mistrial, I will tell you, I don't believe what I've heard so far without reading although I have summarized what you gave me, and I kind of already had an idea of what it was. So I guess my question is, since we talked about yesterday, the three things that were complained about was the puffing, her seeing the dirt being puffed up. Number two, identifying or saying that she saw the individual for the first time, and the location. All right, my question is on the location issue that she testified to yesterday, and frankly, I think that was kind of a very quick testimony. I'm not sure that it resonated with the jury, but my question is there going to be other witnesses that put that individual in the same location that are going to be called later by the state?
Your Honor, I would say the most probably compelling testimony are the casings in the case that would either corroborate or.
That'd be a no. Are there going to be any other witnesses that we got casing?
We have casings.
Got some casings.
We're going to put them up there and ask them some questions.
And so, you know, it's good. The judge is trying to cover his own ass, because if he decides to exclude this testimony and then there's nobody else that would have corroborated it, it just creates a bigger impact by his decision making. So he's just trying to learn as much as he can before he makes that decision.
Absolutely.
And you know, the defense is like, I don't really know that we need to exclude her testimony because she may have some good stuff in there for us.
Exactly.
And so they're hesitant to do that. So let's continue so we can get to where they get to the remedy.
What she said, I believe the location that she placed, she's from probably in the neighborhood of 100 yards away, looking toward the south end of the building, and she puts.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt again. Look at Ms. Mitchell.
I saw that.
She is just like.
I just want to crawl.
Is it too early to retire? Is it?
I believe she marked in a general area south of the building. The casings are going to be closer toward the west side of the building. That is, they're going to be further west by as much as 10 yards. I haven't figured the exact date. So a witness from 100 yards away, placing a witness within a 10-yard distance, that would be the distinction. The other potential witness,
what?
Flores,
okay, I can't even.
I don't even know what he said.
Figure out what the hell that's all about. No was the proper answer. Okay, so
I keep tapping my decoder ring, hoping it's going to give me the actual answer.
Okay, so let me get to where.
Yeah, we come back from a break, and
yeah, they take a break, and then the court's like, okay, what do you guys got? Because they were supposed to be putting their heads together, which I'm all for. I think that's great.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we're going to have a resolution now. Let me hear this fantastic option they're going to offer to the court.
And when they come back,
So,
well,
once again,
we'll
we're
see.
outside the presence of the jury, and I've given counsel an opportunity to confer on potential remedies in regard to the witness. So what do y'all have to report?
Judge, we've had pretty productive talks, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, that the proposition at this point, with them still reserving the right to think of it overnight and start in the morning, is that they continue their cross-examination. They get to also play the entire statement that she made. We would then get to redirect, and then they still reserve the right to ask you to exclude all the testimony. And
yeah,
that part we feel comfortable.
Yes, Judge, and under the idea that we want to unring the bell first before there's an instruction to exclude it, because and have them exclude it all in its entirety, which is fine. But we would like to be able to unring that bell and then make that decision. Depending on how that cross-examination goes, we might not ask to exclude her, because there are some thing that she says that we're just trying to evaluate her testimony after it is to see on balance, is it more
beneficial to our case, or is it not? Like, after we've unrang the bell. But if,
first of all, I'm very impressed that he thinks he can unring the bell.
I don't even know what bell needs to be unrung.
Well, that's just it. The jury doesn't know yet how important it is what she said, which is the shooter was near where she was at a very early point in time. They don't know yet how critical that is.
Correct.
So they're going to go in on cross and they're going to try and water that down by, look at, here's the statement. They're going to have the statement. They're going to play it, the one that she gave the cops. There will be no mention in that statement of her being in the same place as the shooter early in the day. So they're going to use that to impeach her, basically. And they're going to play on, and they're going to make it look more and more like she just was bamboozled that day. Understandable, very emotional. Here we are 3 years. It's 3 years later. You know, it's very understandable that you don't know exactly what happened and you're a little confused because you didn't tell the cops. Isn't it true that earlier in this process, closer to the time of the event, your memory was much better than it is today? Remember, in the Karen Reed case, that didn't work because all of those witnesses apparently
they
got
were so much
smarter.
better. Yeah.
And I do.
There's something in the water there.
I've been up there plenty of times. My memory is far better now than it was before I started going to Dedham. But the common analysis will put her in her place and put her in a position where she's going to ultimately have to say, well, maybe I got that wrong.
Right. Exactly.
That's why they don't want to exclude her testimony.
Right.
Because if that's what indeed unfolds, that's a winner for the defense.
And there at some point, I guess they were considering that the defense was going to mull this over overnight.
Well, it ain't over yet. Shall we continue? Let's continue.
If we determine on balance that it's less beneficial, we would still like to have the Heath remedy for the late disclosure.
Well, for the record, I'm offering it right now. I'm offering the Heath remedy to exclude her testimony.
That is the Heath remedy.
But if y'all want an opportunity to try this, if both sides agree, I'm happy to implement that agreement.
Yes, Your Honor. What we believe is ultimately we believe we're asking the court to exclude. The only issue is that we just want to be able to unring the bell first.
I don't even understand all that double talk.
And we.
Yeah, ultimately, Judge, we want to exclude the testimony, but we want to unring the bell.
I was so lost by all of this.
I mean, I know practically speaking, we're going to take a shot. This is like when you're playing football and the defense is offside, so you get a free play for the offense. Yeah. He thinks he's got a free play and he wants to use it.
Ultimately, you have to throw the ball. You know what I'm saying? You have to actually make a play happen.
Yeah.
You can't just stand there and say, oh, that sack didn't count because it was a free play.
And he's going to, after thinking it over, I think tomorrow he's going to drop back, make the play.
I know I told her, but she knows she's supposed to be here at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. Additionally, I will say that that in light of it, whatever harm that the court has determined in the defense case strategy or in emotional impact, we would add that, and we do believe that under our 403 motion and motion at limine under the autopsy photos and the like, that it would start to, that the court should add that in the 403 balance, because part of what was
again,
the
403 analysis is more probative than prejudicial. Which does it come in? Is it more prejudicial than probative? And he throws in autopsy photos. Well, yeah, that's a normal analysis, and they've already gone through all of that. There's going to be very few, if any, pictures of these kids. But
yeah, I don't see
why
how
he's
that would help.
Conflating that with what's going on here, I have no idea. I do not understand it. I don't know how many kind of backstops he's trying to put in place here. He's got the case is Heath. That's the one in which the court can rely on to exclude the testimony.
Right.
And he's offering it right now. But he's also giving them kind of a second shot. And at the end of the day, which we're about up to here, they still hadn't resolved it. Watch this.
Part of what was not disclosed is something that is, I guess, on an emotional level, especially in what this witness testified to has a tendency to prejudice the defendant. She was taking shots. She was actually personally traumatized by these things that we are going to show that she has never said before. But the jury, having heard that, we believe that it should be a part of the 403 balance with the court eventually. I know you haven't made your final decision about what it is, but I would just, for the record, I would say that it can compound the harm if there's a disclosure, and then the probative value, whatever that is, of them trying to get into these photos of these children, are the prejudicial danger is compounded by something like this occurring in the trial, as to how it can affect the jury. And so I just wanted to put on the record now, I know the court hadn't made the decision, but just to put that in the court's mind, that we are also going to be arguing that at a later date.
All right.
What is happening?
So he's trying to foreshadow for the court that we're going to be making an argument at some point about these photos that have not been, they're not coming in, we don't know if they're coming in or not. But if they do, we're going to argue that her testimony, because of her connection to now the shooter that she's never told us about before,
Right.
somehow reinforces the prejudicial nature of the photographs of the kids. I don't, it doesn't connect for me, but I'm an idiot. Maybe
It
I
was
just not
quite
connecting.
word salad that we
Yeah.
just listened to. I'm going to need a little more dressing to choke that down.
I'm going to need a little more wine. And so,
And then he makes it even more confusing. The prosecutor does.
yeah, and I think he's like, wait, anyway, here's what he does.
Because I originally heard the court say, I'm willing to strike all the testimony now, but I'm also willing to entertain the defense's claim.
I want on the record, because I've denied the mistrial, that in lieu of the mistrial, I'm ready to exclude the testimony now. But if you all want to agree on this, then I will implement your agreement.
Could you give me 1 minute? Then?
And I guess yes, I think just the court understanding willing to strike now would the only reason we're not accepting that. What I don't want to do is be in a situation where I'm on the record saying that I don't want that court's remedy, because then the courts later will say, well, then if you didn't want the court's remedy, then how can you claim that the mistrial was wrongfully denied, right? So what I want to do is just say that the reason we don't believe that striking it now and like she just goes away is that we'll never have an opportunity to unring the bell.
And we think that the court's remedy of striking it all now is sufficient.
Right. You see what I mean? And so what it does is it puts us in a situation where that remedy could actually harm our client worse.
The hoop is coming along.
Well, we'll let the defense proceed as we just discussed. And
I want my cake,
That's
and
exactly
I want
right.
to eat it too.
I was thinking of that as well.
It's all men up there. This is when you need to play that flippin' typical man.
Oh, well, let me see if I can find that quickly enough. Boy, those guys are something, aren't they?
Typical man.
And then you saw LaHood, co-counsel, who was interestingly identified as lead counsel by a report that I saw, and he's clearly not lead counsel, but he was trying to throw a lifeline to his partner there, like he was sneaking into the shot.
Yeah, he's like, I'm trying to
let's
take you off stage here, dude.
Yeah, maybe a quick moment. So I understand what he's trying to do. I don't understand his concept of unringing the bell, because every time they bring up that she saw the shooter in the same area as his client, the cop, it's going to reinforce in their minds that very important issue. Unless they cut her legs out from under her and make it very clear she has to admit, maybe I got that wrong.
Yeah, well, all that needs to happen, you already know on the defense side that the prosecution is saying they don't have anybody else that is going to come up and give the same sort of testimony.
They got casings, though. They have casings.
You impeach the crap out of her then. It's really simple to do. I'm not an attorney, but I see it done all the time, so it can't be that hard. You know,
Exactly.
you ask these certain kinds of questions based on the information you have.
And we know they're going to run the whole police statement, and we can only hope that the quality of the audio is good. But yeah, that's what's going to happen, and so they're going to sleep on it again. She'll be back tomorrow morning at 9, and I have a feeling there's going to be some cleanup on aisle 5. There's going to be something that they need to do just before they go back into her testimony.
Especially because poor Judge Old Man Marley, remembered his name. He's sitting there
close.
like
Marley. Okay.
He's like, what do you guys want me to do? I don't.
I'll dump her right now.
Exactly.
I will dump her on her ass right now. But
call it good.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll see. Poor teacher too. You know, she's in there,
Oh,
doesn't want
she
to be
did.
seen, so she's headless.
It does make me wonder. I'm anxious to hear what her testimony is going to be as to why this all of a sudden popped up. And if it truly was 100 yards away that she saw this, I think in football terms, because I'm a football geek, and all I can think of is 100 yards is an entire football field. Can you really make that much out?
I mean,
That
under the stress of the
far?
circumstance, I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot going on.
I
So
think it'd
is
be very easy for the defense to impeach her.
she was getting a little flummoxed even at the end of yesterday before
Yes.
they went to a break and then excused her. When the jury was out, they were even incorporating her in their little fact-finding mission. And so I think
heard something about that.
she's all bamboozled there with what she said, when she said it, and then she's going to be confronted with the cops' recorded statement. So yeah,
She's going to be lost as last year's Easter egg.
It's going to be something. Okay, before we move on, I thought it was interesting. Whenever I see new attorneys, by that I mean attorneys I've never seen before, not like they're squeaky clean new.
Right.
I always like to find out a little bit about him. This is interesting. This LaHood dude, and he did the second half of the opening statement for the defense. Very interesting guy, and I didn't know much about him, so I got a little something for you here.
And it's funny because I was unable to find the opening statement to watch it.
Oh, well, that's crazy.
I ended up getting when I started watching, I ended up getting in at it was past the 911 call. I want to say it was some
that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
it was out there.
Person.
You could have been watching Justice Served TV. I think we may have had that. Anyway, it's out there, and it was the prosecution I think was 10 minutes, maybe 15. And then they had this tag team defense where they had Mr. Goss and then they had Mr. LaHood. So I said, okay, who's this guy? Who is this guy, Mr. LaHood? And this is, my favorite resource, of course, is, TikTok or whatever.
He looks like he needs to have some sort of fedora on and carrying a cape with matador pants.
Let's see. Oh my gosh, I've lost him. Where did it go?
What did you do?
I don't know what I've done.
I never do anything like this on my channel, ever.
I got people.
Smooth sailing. Nothing ever goes wrong.
What the hell happened? Oh,
there he is.
Whoop.
There he is.
Oh, that I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I guess this was. Oh, it's a different format. Okay, I like that. Let's see. We don't have to listen to the whole thing, but what I liked was his admission about his background. This guy used to be a drug dealer.
Awesome.
At age 22, he was a drug dealer. And then, I want to see if I can get to the...
and he's Lebanese. He's not Hispanic.
Yeah, it's funny because his accent sounds kind of Spanish, right?
I mean, looking at him, the darker complexion, the olive skin and the dark hair, and
let's see if I can get some...
I totally was thinking Matador.
Well, it made perfect sense, that region. Yeah, let me see if I can turn this up here.
And his first
I love doing what I do as a profession, whether it's prosecuting or defense, but in the profession of law that I think gets a bad rap, which I think the profession deserves sometimes, because there's some people in there that don't honor the profession that I love. But it's a good profession. It's an honorable profession. And so we bring that type of integrity to our clients. We're a criminal defense firm. The whole firm are former prosecutors, which is very unique. And we believe we bless our clients with the way we look at them. And we know that our involvement in their case has a lasting effect on their family and their children and their children's children. And we care about our results too. So I'm honored to work with them.
Good. So we go way back, and I know some of your story, a lot of your story.
Listen to this story.
So at 22, you were drugs, and then at 42, you became DA.
Yeah, I can figure that, right?
Huge transition, right?
What was 22? I've never, believe it, people don't believe it, but they don't have to believe it. I don't care. I've never done a drug in my life, but I sold a bunch of them. And so I was arrested for selling drugs, and had a weapon with me, and they were threatening to send me to prison. And so this whole label of drug dealer, criminal, piece of whatever, fill in the blank. My pop was a lawyer at the time, so that was a whole journey in itself of what my pop must have gone through. Being in the justice system as a defense lawyer, he was a judge for mental health court in that mental health hospital, and was very respected. And then of course, here comes this kid, like an idiot, getting arrested for selling drugs. But then, as you said, years later, there's a story of redemption, which is very prevalent in the Christian faith. I was elected as the district attorney, the chief law enforcement officer in the same town that I was arrested for selling drugs. I don't credit myself to that, other than I just agreed to do life with a different lens on, a different worldview, a different set of ideas, because ideas have consequences, as I tell people all the time. And so I was humbled to serve. And there was a strong redemption story that I told people, and I think was part of my campaign was.
I think the guy's very interesting.
Absolutely. And he's very charismatic. So as a juror, listening to him question a witness, or to listen to any closing or opening, you would be very engaged as a juror to listen to what he has to say, which will bode well for Adrian Gonzalez.
Hey, someone once said, never underestimate the power of likability.
Likability, and he's nice looking. That matters in life. People think it doesn't.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Typical man.
Oh, no, that wasn't. See, women can say those things and no big deal. But if a guy says that, it's like, oh, chauvinist.
It matters.
Man.
I
of
hate
course, it's a superficial. Our world is a superficial world. You know,
it's
whether
not even so much that. It's just the pleasingness of what your eyes look at makes you more receptive to what you're hearing. You know,
I've been
called worse.
This is a very superficial medium, and it's anytime there's a performance involved, and a trial is a performance. You know, it's a very important audience of 12 to 18, depending on number of alternates. But you've got to have that connection. You have to have that rapport and that charm. And the guy's a charming dude. And then we were talking yesterday about how he mentioned the prosecution, and his last name is Goss. His first name is Bill. And he was referencing Bill Goss had trouble getting through the opening. He was choked up. And so when he first started his portion of the opening, Mr. LaHood said, I understand how Bill was very emotional, which is kind of, very informal. I'm not sure I like it or not, but it was kind of it seemed genuine. Like that he's telling the jury, we're here because we have a job to do, not because I hate the prosecution.
Right.
Prosecution doesn't hate me. We're here because we have a job to do. And that little Bill blah, blah, blah tells the jury that.
Yeah. Those tactics on a jury, that it depends on, if you're Attorney Fulford and you're trying to do that folksy thing, it doesn't come off very well.
I just had a flashback. Yeah. Okay.
Someone like him, I can see where that would be very effective with a jury, that they would go, oh yeah, we're on board. We understand. But to have the prosecution, I have flashbacks of Jennifer Nichols and Zachary Adams' trial, and she was all choked up and everything. And I'm like, I just want to crawl through the screen and smack her. She's just despicable.
And you got to look at the openings to see Bill. And
I definitely
your reaction for that, to see if it played as real or a little bit too much. It's a tough call.
I don't care for that coming from an attorney. It makes me worry that they are too close.
Okay.
And maybe they're missing things that obviously they missed something. Well, because we just had to delay the trial for a day because they missed telling the defense.
LaHood was in a very subtle way using that against the prosecution, because he dovetailed that right into the sympathy angle and telling this jury, don't let sympathy, this is a horrible thing. Bill, it was obviously emotional about it. You cannot let sympathy replace your analysis of the facts and the application of the law. You can't do it.
Right.
And that's the two things that they've got issues. The defense has big issues, sympathy and the whole timeline, which I've described as a spectrum. Because I think with all the craziness going on, people will give cops a certain amount of leeway. Is it 10 minutes? Is it 15 minutes? But at a certain point, people are like, hell no.
That's too long. You should have done something, dude. You should. Yeah.
I think that's going to be, if I were in the jury deliberation room, I know that would be the discussion. And you're going to have people that are on the 15-minute end, people are on the 30-minute end, but I don't know if anybody's on the 75-minute end. I just don't.
No.
So it's a tough case procedurally, and to be after a cop, not one of the trigger pulling defendants. In this case, the guy's dead, thank God. but you still have to draw that connection. And again, Ethan Crumley comes to mind, where the parents were found guilty for the shooting death caused by their son of the school.
Yep. That was a Michigan case.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, it's going to be fascinating as it unfolds. I didn't think we'd have this little detour that we did, but yeah, we did. we'll be back at it tomorrow. Hey, I want to move on to one more thing before I let you go. I know it's getting to be.
I got time, so it's fine.
Time? I want to talk about the case that you're covering and you have covered, and there's a retrial coming up. Tell us about that case with Mr.
Raul Valley.
Raul Valley.
Yes, and I don't know if you know his attorney.
Well, it's funny you should mention that.
His new attorney is Darnell Crosland, I think is the name, if I'm getting it right.
Well, it's funny you should mention him, because I happen to have him when he walked out of the courtroom and kind of talked to the folks. It looks like he's just standing there in the cold by himself with a couple of microphones. Let's listen to a little bit what he has to say. He is now the new attorney. I know that he was barely brought into the case, right? Just recently. Like days.
The night before.
Yeah.
It was hours.
Yeah, that's not optimal. Let's see what he said.
The day we filed our appearance, this is post-verdict. And so there's some legal issues that need to be dealt with by way of motion. And so I indicated to Judge Russo that we have some motions to file that are going to be leaning towards jeopardy and whether in fact he can be retried legally again.
Okay, so get closer to the mic, sir. Come on. Do us a favor. So give us the backstory on what happened the first time, because he just mentioned double jeopardy issues.
So he was being charged with first-degree murder in the death of Jimmy McGrath, and then there were 3 other individuals, young men that were at this party that were also injured. And so they were, I think, first-degree assault charges. And in Connecticut, they start with the most serious charge, and then they work down, and they have to determine guilty, not guilty. You say not guilty, then you go to the next one. And then you get to the next one, you say guilty or not guilty, then you go to the next. And that includes intentional, which he has been acquitted of all of the intentional acts. And now they're retrying him for all of the reckless acts. And yeah, I mean, the jury was hung, but that's not what you originally charged him with. So I don't know how it works with Connecticut law. And obviously, I thought at the time it was odd that they could just go right back after the jury has already said, no, we found him not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. Every single intentional act, he was deemed not guilty. And and then once, if they found him guilty on a reckless charge, then they have to consider self-defense. And so even though they would find him guilty of second-degree reckless assault, they could still say, well, we found him guilty of this, but it was an act of self-defense. And so therefore that changes all of the matters as well.
And this is, you may have mentioned it and I zoned out, but one kid died. Is that right? As a result?
Jimmy McGrath was one young man that lost his life. And then there were 3 other young men that were injured.
They were all, it was with a knife, right?
Raul had the knife. Yes. And when you hear the testimony and you kind of walk through everything, you understand a little bit more of how terrifying that moment must have been. Raul testified in his trial, and he was very believable. Mm-hmm. He was respectful, unlike all of the other witnesses that were on the other side. They were despicable witnesses. It was just awful.
I remember some of that.
And he was just a very honest, credible, believable young man. He was very remorseful. You could tell he felt awful about everything. Not awful that he got caught. He felt awful that the situation got to the degree that it did.
Right.
And, alcohol was involved. It's young people. And yeah, it was just bad. I'm happy.
When is the retrial?
Don't know yet. That's kind of what we've been waiting for. And so he has a case or has a new date. And I can't remember now off the top of my head what it is, because I've got February 3rd and February 23rd. I feel like it's a March date, but I believe that, Karen Reed's is continued to March, isn't it?
Which one?
The one from yesterday when they were supposed to have the hearing and then it was canceled. I feel like that was continued to March. So the February 3rd date would be for Raul that I have in my mind, because
I have Karen Reed on the 3rd.
Okay, so then March must be the date for Raul that they go back to court. And Mr. Crosland seems to be saying that he's going to have a lot of motions that will need to be decided on long before that.
Yeah, and he is, it's new counsel, so there's always going to be some leeway to get him up to speed.
Sure.
And the double jeopardy question is a tricky one. So he's, I'm sure, going to be filing some amazing motions on that. And even if it somehow survives, there are issues in the law called collateral estoppel and res judicata, which means for collateral estoppel, you are estopped from bringing up issues or causes of action that were properly decided in a prior, in this case, trial. A collateral estoppel to an issue, res judicata, could be a bigger preemption. It's a matter of degree. There may be certain issues that don't need to be relitigated. So it's a mess. Obviously, the win for the defense is finding that double jeopardy is attached. So,
yeah, as I've said, it's awful that a young man lost his life. It's awful everything that happened, but there were a lot of bad choices and there was a lot of blame to go around. And it isn't just on one individual. And that's probably what has me most upset and the reason that I'm following it. And most of the people that follow my channel, that's why, we've been on Raul's side, because it's, everybody else got immunity. I don't know why they decided that Raul couldn't be asked. They went to everybody else first.
Interesting.
So,
well, he was the guy with the knife, right?
Right. And so everybody got immunity except him. And now they're all testifying against him. It's just icky. It's an icky thing. But I love the bow tie on Mr. Crosland, because I just finished Zach Adams and Douglas Bates the fourth, who's a very esteemed attorney in Tennessee. He is like a 7th generation attorney, and he always wears bow ties. In fact,
he wear a seersucker suit?
He doesn't wear a seersucker suit, but I named him Mr. Bowtie Bates because I love his bow ties and I love him. I think he's a great attorney.
Okay. Do you know how to tie a bow tie?
Heck no.
It is a bitch, I'll tell you. Oh, I'm sorry. It is. When you're young, you put a little clip on and it's like, oh, that's cute.
Sure.
When you start wearing it is a monster. And unless you do it regularly, I'm convinced that people who wear bow ties, and we see it all the time, it's because once they learn how, they do not want to forget. And once you stop doing it, it's like, what is it? It's a long one goes over here, and then it's inside of that, and it's over here. It is, it's a lot. Tying a regular tie, piece of cake.
Yeah,
But that is a talent, the bow tie.
Yeah, I know that he has, Mr. Bates has many, many different ones, and he is definitely doing the Lord's work on that case. And whoo, talk about some injustice there. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, toes crossed, praying and hoping that Zach Adams can get himself, at least at the very, very bare minimum, a new trial, because it is absolutely needed. And that's,
I defer to you because you've really been into these cases dramatically, and I appreciate sucking some of the knowledge out of your brain. So
there's not much there to suck out, so you might get a little dry.
I've got a dry well here. Oh, there we go. I want to make sure we pop this up here. Follow our friend Ms. Demeter right there. Put your stuff up. Thank you, Sheila Duffy, for that. I appreciate it. I know Missy had some stuff going on tonight, so thank you for stepping in, Sheila. Always a very, very good mod for us here.
Yeah.
Let's see what else before I say goodbye to you and all. Oh, Kay Schmidt, thank you so much. 5 Justice Serve TV memberships. We love that. And KC1125 with 1 as well. And Donnie, not Wahlberg. That's great. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. Again, if you don't subscribe, you don't get the freebies. And how much does
doesn't cost
subscribing
anything
cost?
to subscribe.
There it is.
Zero.
Zero. So you're saying it's a profit deal. Okay.
Hey, before I forget, Speaking about Zach Adams, Mr. Bowtie Bates, and all, Monday night on my show, I am going to have the individuals from Trial and Error podcast, Dr. Katie Spirko and Dana McClendon, on my channel for a conversation about all the goings on behind the scenes. Dr.
cool.
Katie Spirko was listed as a witness in the post-conviction relief hearings, and she was not able to speak since I think it was March of 2025. And so she's going to have a lot to say.
Okay, she's busting. Yeah. Yeah. What time is that going to be?
6 o'clock on Monday.
6 o'clock. And that is
Central time.
Central
Yep,
time.
Central time.
Cool. Okay. Well, we will look forward to that. You've got everybody on their notices, right? They got the notice. They're going to get a notice when it's happening.
I
right?
hope so. If they did the share and all the stuff, the tubes of you things, then yeah, we should be in good shape.
All right. Well, once again, appreciate it. Always a pleasure, Janet.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. Of course. And, we'll have you back on next time, and we'll have the Linda Kenny Bodden misdemeanor sandwich. No, you'll be in the middle. But yeah, there we go. All right, then. Have a great evening. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye. All right, folks. It's going to wrap it up. We're going to get out of here. It's been a double day. We did a members only at 2 o'clock today. If you were a member, you take advantage of that. We're going to bust that up and repurpose it this weekend. Tomorrow, we're going to get back into Uvalde. And I do believe in the morning they're going to launch with the teacher that was the subject of all of this potential mistrial. We'll get back into that. We'll see how the defense handles it. And then when they get done, they get to say, Judge, on second thought, let's strike her testimony. That's bizarre. I think they're going to go with it. I think they're going to cross-examine her. They're going to have the statement by the cops played for her. She's going to have to, I feel sorry for her because she's going to be made to look like somebody that doesn't recall what happened that day, as important as it was. And they're going to discredit her. That's the only way around what she said so far, which is to put the defendant, their client, Adrian Gonzalez, very near the shooter very early in the day. And if he was there that early, knew what was going on, saw the shooter, it makes it harder to suggest, as the defense is, that he couldn't do much more. He didn't know what was going on. Well, the shooter was right there. So it's critical. So we'll see how that plays out tomorrow. Then tomorrow night, Serena Townsend will be on because Linda Kenny Bodden continues her yeoman's work in Cambridge at Harvard. And so we'll have Serena on. We'll talk about this case. I have a feeling some other stuff will pop up, as tends to be the case. But if it doesn't, there's a lot going on in that Uvalde matter. So that's what we will do. We hope you will join. In the meantime, Michael Bryant here for Justice Serve TV. Please try to do the right thing.
Riding flames, they charge with mine.